had to put some lipstick. He's getting kind of tired there. All right. Hello. Thanks for being here. We have a great topic today that we're going to be talking about, and that is that numbers are not a game. I'm going to hold this open so I can see the chat real fast. Here we go. Okay. There we go. So we're talking about numbers are not a game. Let me introduce myself before we get started. My name is Michelle Lynn, and I am the owner of ML Interiors Group, which is an award-winning seven-figure interior design firm in Dallas, Texas. I've been featured in Forbes, Southern Living, Modern Luxury, Martha Stewart, Home and Garden, and a handful of other publications. I am a trusted advisor to small business owners in interior design. That is my niche. I own an interior design firm and I coach interior designers on the business of interior design. So I serve interior designers who have achieved 5 figures in revenue and want to scale to multiple 6 figures without trading time for money, maintaining a profit with passion. So if you guys are on Instagram, follow me at Designed for the Creative Mind and send me a message, a DM saying hello and that we met here on Zoom or on Facebook. So while we're at it, why don't you drop a note in the chat? If you are here live in Zoom, drop it in. Let me know where you're from. And also let me know how long you've been in business. I like to take a bit of a pulse of the audience so that we can stay relevant. And then also, if you're watching this on Facebook after the live session has been uploaded, then same thing. Let me know where you're from and how long you've been in business. Yay, we've got Michigan for over 25 years. Rock on. Melanie from Boston, 3.5. London for 3 years. Hello, London. Good to see you. Michigan and just starting. Oh, we got a couple Michiganders. Wonder if you guys are close to each other. I know it's a big state, but wonder where you guys are. I always like to just make local connections. It makes such a difference. And hopefully, if you guys are in the Detroit area, I know they have a very good IDS, Interior Design Society chapter there. There you go. Holland and Troy, Michigan. Thanks, guys. East Texas, less than a year. Practically Perfect Home. Colorado for 2 years. Live from Houston. Ava, good to see you. Wife and mom of 4 with a love for pretty functional storytelling designs, carpools, football games, and endless loads of laundry. Oh, girl, I get it. Creating peaceful spaces. That's cool. Okay, good. And Ruth is in IDS. Yay. Oh, I knew that name looked familiar. Thank you, Hallie. It's like, holy crap, but I don't, Ruth, is your face up here? No, I don't see you. Okay, there we go. Oh, hey, girl. Good to see
Hi,
you.
good to see you.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. It's like a flashback reunion. For those of you guys who don't know, I have my signature coaching program is called the Interior Design Business Bakery. And Ruth went through it. Yay. Hello. Good, good, good. Okie doke. See, sometimes I hide my face and the screen behind some notes. So I don't always see because y'all, it's just really weird sitting here staring at yourself when you're talking. So that's awesome. Good, good, good. Oh, Regina. Hey, girl. Good to see you. I know you're in the big D here with me. All right. We've got Centerville, Virginia. I love this. Pennsylvania. Okay. So thank you guys. This helps us kind of take a pulse on who's participating, who needs what and whatnot. Which, by the way, if you ever have some topics or conversations or something that you want to go into more detail on, please don't hesitate to either tag me in the Facebook group, the Interior Design Business Launchpad, or Hallie, same thing, and we'll get that all taken care of. So in some of our coaching programs, I've noticed that some designers are not making the revenue that they think they should be. Okay, and this is like where we're wanting, I try to get my arms around and share some of these details. So today we're going to go into enough to be dangerous. And also I am putting together a like a masterclass workshop on this specifically that's going to last about an hour. So watch for that. I'm hoping to release that at the beginning of November. But for now, let's touch on this. Oftentimes what happens is as designers, the right side of our brain is so creative and enjoying the creation of the beauty and the design and whatnot. And even like sometimes it's also the creation of the business and expanding on that. But oftentimes as designers, we hide from the numbers. Whether it's because we're not familiar with them or they scare us, probably because we're not familiar with them, or because maybe we know in our instinct, in our heart, in our gut, that we are not operating at our optimum and we don't really want to see. So we kind of go to that. Is it the ostrich that puts their head in the sand and just pretends that there's nothing around? And I'll tell you, I've been guilty of that myself. In fact, I've gotten to a point right now where I've hired a financial coach to get my arms and understand all of the numbers that I've got going on in my multiple businesses. So I highly recommend that you guys take some time to get familiar with what I'm going to be teaching you today. Come join our profit pricing and margin pricing profits and margin workshop, not workshop, masterclass in the next few weeks. I think that will be the 4th or the 11th-ish of November, and we'll go from there. So as I continue to dive into this, on a scale of 1 to 5, before we really dig in, on a scale of 1 to 5, tell me where, with 5 being like, babe, I could be my own bookkeeper because I've got my arms around my numbers so well, or I'm a CPA, but I also design. 5 being like, you've really got your arms around it. 1 is that, oh, I kind of hide from it and I really don't even know what P&L stands for. Okay, we're going to be talking about that. So tell me 1 to 5 where you feel you are in knowing your numbers. And y'all, there's no shame because I have been a 0. Okay, I've been a 0. Good. Thank you, Emily, for kicking it off. We've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 1. Okay, a 1, 2, 4, rock on. It's because Ruth went through the bakery and she had some great master coaches. Raw 2, 2, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, thank you guys. Good, 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 good. Then this content should be very relevant. Stephanie, rock on with your bad self. Good, 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 good. Okay. So I want to talk about some of the numbers that you should know at any point in your business. Again, please do not feel any shame or embarrassment that if these are not things that are familiar to you. All what we're doing today is we're going to be introducing you to some content that you're going to need to drill down on a little bit further. Also, let me give out a little shout out to Michelle Williams with the Scarlet Thread. And I think that's what she calls her podcast as well, the Scarlet Thread podcast. She's who I've been working with to get my arms around all of my numbers and stuff like that. And she's fabulous. So if you don't subscribe, I highly recommend her podcast as well. Okay, hourly rate. You need to know your hourly rate. For those of you who have been around me for any length of time, you're probably saying, Michelle, what the hell are you talking about? Because you tell us not to bill hourly. You tell us to bill with a lump sum. Thank you, Hallie, for dropping that in. And yes, profit is a choice. So with that, that doesn't mean, so first of all, I don't recommend that you bill hourly on a regular basis. That's a whole different conversation. What I teach in the bakery and what I teach in a program that we're developing as well, it's called the Key Ingredients, it's the Bakery Light. It is that you have your value-based fee, your lump sum. And Ruth, this should sound somewhat familiar to you. You have your lump sum fee that is your design fee. What you should have is an internal hourly rate that you use to navigate your efficiency cross-referenced with that design fee. Okay, that ties in with how many hours per project. You should be tracking those numbers. So you have an hourly rate internal, and then you are calculating how many hours it takes per project. And keep in mind that you get faster the more that you do this. But when you have these two, this is the data that you need to do your flat rate value-based pricing. so that it's a flat fee. So you want your internal hourly rate and the number of hours per project. This is what you're going to use to calculate your design fee, but this is also that it's not over there. Then you continue to track this information and you either start raising your design fee because you're potentially raising your internal hourly rate. Okay. So that's information that you need to know. Your margins and your markups. Your margins and your markups are different. And I see questions. I promise I will get to those. So that's awesome. Thank you. Your margins and your markups, let me see. Your markup and your margin are very similar, but I want to explain this to you a little bit better. And I have this written down. Pricing, profits. Okay. A margin is a figure that shows how much of a product's revenue you get to keep. A markup shows how much over cost you've sold it for. So for example, if you have $100 widget, $100 accessory, you mark it up 75%. So you're paying $100 for it. You're charging your client $175. You're selling it at a 75% markup because that is how much over cost you've sold it for. A margin is when you take that $100, let's see, you take what, okay, here's an example, better example. You sell a sofa for $5,000, but you only paid $3,500 for it. Okay, your gross profit is the amount of money. It's 500 minus 3,500. That's $1,500. In order to find your profit margin, your margin, you're going to take that $1,500 that is the profit, okay, and you're going to divide it by what you sold it for. $5,000. That's a 30% margin. Here's the deal, y'all. You really don't need to know how to calculate margins. Bottom line. Okay, because I'm probably confusing you trying to describe it. I can do it on paper fairly well. I don't describe it very well. At the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to be marking things up a minimum of 75%, which calculates to a 42% margin. Now, why do you want to know that? Here's why I want to know it, okay? There's a lot of reasons, I'm sure. The reason I want to know it is if I'm marking something up 75%, if a client ever asks me, hey, do I get a discount? Or, hey, are you marking this up? Or whatever the case may be, I'll tell them, yeah, I have a 42% margin built in. Okay, 42% margin, in my opinion, is much easier to say than a 75% markup. Okay, so for example, if you're marking things up 100%, it's a 50% margin. If you're marking them up 150%, it's a 60% margin. So the margin is important because when you're in we use design docs, when you're in your software that's calculating your profit, you need to know, in my opinion, 42% is your minimum profit margin. Okay, now, gratuitous plug, I've got full ass training on this between margins and markup in the bakery, how you calculate them, how you share it with your client, things along that line. Those are important. But if you leave here with nothing else, here's some basics, how you calculate your flat fee, how you look at your internal rate, hourly rate, how you look at the hours that you need to run a project, your margins, your markups. Some other things that you'll want to know is basically, what is a P&L? A P&L is your profit and loss. It's your financial statements that you should be looking at every month. Your bookkeeper can explain some of the basics to you. You can also, Hallie, I don't think we might start a wait list for our pricing, profits, and margin masterclass that we'll be releasing here pretty soon. Just stay in touch and watch for that, okay, y'all?
Okay.
What you also want to look for, or what you guys also should know, so numbers that are important, is your total monthly expense to run the business. We were just talking about this on my call in the interior design business bakery, where I meet with them once a month for an hour and a half with just free for all Q&A. But the total monthly expense to run your business is what you should be minimum as your monthly income, and that's just to break even. So if you have let's say subscriptions to Microsoft Office, if you have subscriptions to like Design Docs, subscription to Canva, you have insurance for your business, you have your own pay, okay? Make sure you guys are on your own payroll. Other expenses that you might have would be if you pay rent somewhere, you have a lease or something, you need to know what your total monthly expense is to run the business, your phone, you allocate your electricity, if you rent a mailbox or something like that. Add all of those up. That total monthly expense is something that you should know off the top of your head. I know what mine is, and therefore the goal is that every month you have a minimum design fees coming in that cover that with buffer. And then any furniture that you sell is gravy on top of that. So if your monthly expense is $10,000 to run your business, and it adds up quickly, y'all, it adds up really quickly. It could be, then you need to have a minimum of $10,000 in design fees coming in every month. So let's take a quick look at some of the comments. These are very basic numbers. We also need to talk about your P&L and how you read that. Your P&L, the top is the revenue, and then you have the cost of goods sold, or the COGS, cost of goods sold. So your revenue minus your cost of goods sold. Okay, that's your that's that's one of your profits, and then you have all of your expenses behind that. Your cost of goods sold is going to be all of the furniture, art, accessories, and so forth. So you get $50,000 in, you have $25,000 out, you've got $25,000 margin. Out of that $25,000 margin, then what you also have is you have all of your expenses that we were just talking about. These are the expenses it costs to run your business. It could be your payroll, it can be your subscriptions, it's your insurance, it's your phone. It's maybe your marketing budget, things along that line, the software. So for example, I'm going to give a gratuitous plug to a software called Sidemark, my Sidemark. This has a CRM, which is your customer relationship manager. It has a calendar, like a Calendly in there. It has your social media planning. It has your email automation. So all of this takes over from the other subscriptions that you might have, like MailChimp and Tailwind and all of these other things that Calendly that it takes to run your business. Those are all subscriptions, those are all expenses. But that's what gets you down to your very net profit, your bottom line. So these are things that you can take a look at, and you should be looking at on a regular basis, because if you're looking at, let's say your subscriptions are costing you $1,000 a month, they just add up, and then all of a sudden it bumps up to $1,500 a month. Like, where did that come from? Did your bookkeeper code it incorrectly? Or did something go up and you like something went up in price and you didn't get the email or something like that? So don't be afraid of your numbers. Don't be afraid of your numbers. Let's run over some questions over here real quick. Okay. Do you want your internal rate to match hourly? I charge both fixed fee for design and hourly for procurement. So Melanie, what I suggest for that is procurement. Here's my suggestion. First of all, is I suggest you outsource your procurement. You make money designing. So your hourly rate for design should be much, much, much more than procurement. So procurement, you can pay somebody $50 an hour to do it, and then you can charge your client $150 for it, while you're charging $300 for your design genius. So you make money designing, you don't make money procuring. So yes, but they're not going to be the same. Jacqueline, I can give some examples. calculating the internal hourly, it's an exercise. I think in our interior design business bakery, we have an entire module with like 3 or 4 lessons that goes into all of this. But in a nutshell, what you're doing is you have an hourly rate. Here's the thing, an hourly rate for Ruth, who's been doing this for 25 years and went through the interior design business bakery. I'm hoping that Ruth is charging a minimum of $300 as an internal hourly rate. Okay. She's got badass experience, beautiful designs. Why not charge $300 or more? Like she could be up to $450, she could be $500, I don't know. But with that, how do you tell a client that you're billing them $350 an hour for interior design? Most lawyers are not charging that. Okay, so if a lawyer's asking you what your hourly rate is and you say, oh, it's $350, he's gonna be like, screw you. I went to law school and I don't bill that much. So my internal hourly rate is not something that I discuss with clients. I'd basically tell them, I have a flat fee. I don't have an hourly rate. So in that respect, yes, yay, Ruth, she went through the bakery and she taught that. So rock on. So she gave herself a pay raise. But with that, so in order to get your internal hourly rate, it's going to be based on the service that you give. You have to give a luxury service. I cannot charge a $300 internal hourly rate. Like, I know that that's what I'm basing my calculations and my analysis on. But I cannot be charging a premium like that if I'm not giving them a premium experience. So I can't tell any of you this is what you should be charging unless you're going through the bakery. And I know, or even the key ingredients, which is our bakery light that we're rolling out, without knowing that there's so much more that goes into the service that you're giving them. So for example, you go to Mercedes to get your oil changed, your 10,000 mile service, tires rotated and all of that sort of stuff. You get a different level of service than if you go to Toyota. Okay, both are great, both get you from point A to point B, but you get better coffee, you get better music, you get a lounge, you can get your, sometimes you can get a manicure, like all these things at the Mercedes versus this, so they can charge more than this. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I know that that's a lot, but stick with me. I've got different ways that we can learn this, and I'm going to go over that in just a minute. A good markup for furniture, Robin, again, it depends on where you're buying it from. It depends on where you're buying it from. It depends on the vendor. I have vendors, I can only mark it up like 50%. I have other vendors, I mark it up 250%. So it depends on how you're buying it. Jacqueline says, no one asked Crate and Barrel, a mechanic or a plumber, what their markup or margin is. Is it really any client's business? No, it's absolutely not. So the best words to tell a client that is along the lines of, first of all, I tell them exactly, my profit is made through my design fee and through selling furniture. Okay, if they don't understand and respect that, and this is again what we teach, if they don't, this is part of the overall experience and how you can charge these luxury fees. If they don't understand that and they don't respect it, then they're not a client. They can go find somebody else, and that's okay. Okay, so that's a short answer for a big question, but ultimately you can even tell them that. Do you ask when you go to eat, or when you go buy a bottle of wine at the restaurant, do you ask them what they paid for it? Okay, they don't. Let's see here. What profit do you want over your expenses? Melanie, I want the biggest profit possible over my expenses. Some months it's really big, some months it's not. Personal salary, take home ideally. Jacqueline, that's a great question. How should you calculate it? It's back into it. How much do you need to make? How much can the business afford to pay you? And then you grow and you incrementally give yourself pay raises. Plus, what you also do is you have a regular compensation. Let's say you're paying yourself $50,000 a year. Let's say you're paying yourself $100,000 a year. Whatever that looks like, your business needs to be able to afford to do that. And then as you get more money socked away because you're taking what you need over here, this is where you start talking to your tax professional and you figure out how to maximize your income on your business, your income personally, and how that plays together. In Canada, you don't really have procurement services. Okay, so Jacqueline, procurement service is where you are actually, that's when you are purchasing the items that you have specified for the client. So if you designed their entire living room and you have the rug and the occasional tables and the seating and the art and the accessories and the lighting and the window treatments and so forth, it's the actual purchasing of that. If it's custom, obviously, it's a lot more work than if it's like four hands where you can just click it and order it and move on from there. But old school method used to be that you would charge cost plus. So maybe it was cost plus 20%. And that was supposed to be your profit and your procurement. When I came into this business, I didn't know that. And so I just made it up as we went. And so this is what I teach. There's other designers that do it similar, other coaches that do it similar, but cost plus 20% doesn't give you enough margin, doesn't give you markup. It doesn't give you procurement. You're basically just working for the design fee. That's my opinion. Last but not least, Ruth, can you review where you have an unplanned hourly time on a job site that you bill to a customer? Oh, good, 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 good. Yes. Oh, that is so timely. We were just talking about this today. And hey, are you going to be in High Point? No. Oh, rats. Okay. Well, here's what we're doing at ML Interiors Group, and this is what we're teaching now. Okay, so for example, y'all, you have your design fee, okay? And let's say it is a kitchen renovation and you are buying furniture for the great room that attaches to the kitchen. Okay, so you get your design fee. Everything's great, everything's approved. The design has been approved. You've received full payment for that kitchen renovation, for the furniture, all the things. And then renovation starts. Here's what we're doing now is we are basically, you can either take a percentage of the construction cost, like I would say between 10 and 15%, or you can take a look at the previous data that you've had that gives you the number of hours it's taken for a similar construction. Okay, or take a percentage of your design fee, however you want to calculate that, and then get a retainer. This is called your renovation implementation, your construction implementation, construction administration, project management, whatever you want to call it. You get a retainer and you basically tell the client, okay, so this is going to be, and you can do it in increments. If it's a long project, you can take a monthly draw basically on that. Or you just basically say, look, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to come out here. In my previous experience, this is about how much it's going to take. But if something shows up behind the wall that's unplanned, or the contractor drops the ball or something along this line, and I need to go out more often, then I just draw it up against that retainer. If at the end of the project, I haven't used it all, then I'll either write you a check back or we can apply it to another expense. So that's how we do with the unplanned hourly time on a job site that we bill for. Now, that's just for the construction implementation. When it comes to the actual design, that's why we make it a big enough design fee that we've got some flexibility. And that's why we're charging higher internal rates, because I'm not paying myself $300 an hour, right? So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. That's also why when you have good enough margins on your furniture, you've also got some wiggle room there, because it's all making you that extra gravy. But again, it's meeting with the builders or the contractor. In addition, it goes into the renovation implementation. Now, if it is pre-construction, pre-design, think like leading up to it, then what we'll do is we'll plan for a certain number of meetings, factor in our portal to portal travel, and then we'll lump sum fee them that. And if if we assume that it's going to be 2 hours for every meeting, plus portal to portal, 30 minutes, it's 3 hours. If it goes a little bit over, some of them are going to go a little bit under. So that's essentially how we do that. So I hope that answers your question, Ruth. Okay, Jacqueline, if you're doing all the purchasing yourself, look, because there are some procurement companies that have popped up. I don't know if there are any in Canada, but you guys have a lot of leading edge entrepreneurs out there. You may have them. Just keep looking. And if not, then hire somebody to do it for you at a much lower price. You can outsource it to a highly organized administrative assistant, a VA, something along that line. Because if you're paying somebody $50 an hour and you're charging the client the equivalent of 150, then you've got markup there, but you could be charging $300 an hour for your own design genius. Okay. I'm throwing these numbers out, y'all. They're reasonable. And this is charged. I mean, this is just completely morphed into more of a pricing thing than knowing your numbers, but hopefully it's helpful. And I'm throwing these numbers out because they're very reasonable. Like $300 an hour sounds exorbitant, especially when I used to charge $75 an hour back in the day. But just know this is what I teach. So if you think that some of this free content's pretty good, imagine what you get when you work with me in one of my programs. We've added on, and we have different offers now. Previously, my signature program was called the Interior Design Business Bakery. It's a 12-month, it's my signature program with the entire recipe. It's like the entire bakery to launch your business 5 years into the future and into a multiple six-figure revenue. Ruth has had, I keep using you, honey. I'm glad you're here. She's got a lot of experience. She had 20-something years when she came through the bakery, but we also have individuals who've come through the bakery that they're in the process literally of starting their business. And they're still just working on getting their domain set up. So depending on where you are in life, it's a large investment, but it gives you a exponential push forward. What we've done recently as well is we've taken the bakery and we've broken it down into just the key ingredients. So it's kind of like a bakery light. And it's just like the title, it's just the key ingredients. So in the bakery, you have a lot of extra stuff. You have frosting and master coaches and all of these things. The key ingredients is damn good to get you started. That's where the bakery started, was with just the key ingredients. And then I kept adding to it. So now we're going back to just the basics. It's less of an investment with still a badass return. We also have a sugar and spice society. Can you see there's a theme here, y'all? We've got the bakery, we've got the key ingredients, we've got the sugar and spice society. It's simply a 6-month program helping to generate some revenue so that you can get into the key ingredients or you can get into the bakery, wherever you feel called to go. We also have custom packages for private coaching, one-on-one. And then, of course, we have the Interior Designers Business Launchpad here where we cook up success. I've got the podcast designed for the creative mind. We have different blogs. And then we also have a course for people who are wanting to increase their interior design knowledge and skills, no business content. And that's simply called Design from Scratch. So if you don't have the wherewithal to go to get a 4-year degree or even to get an associate's degree, we're going to give you enough real life information that can elevate you into a place of confidence that you have enough to walk into somebody's home and not feel like Boo Boo the Fool. Okay. Yes, and Hallie just had the marketing call with Sugar and Spice today. So we do everything we can to meet you where you are. If you want to hop on a free call, most likely with Hallie, but I'm taking calls as well. Just email hello@Designed for the Creative. Oh, there we go. Hallie just dropped it in there. hello@Designed for the Creative Mind. If we're not a good resource for you, we know of many other coaches, many other programs, and different options for you. And I've told other people that I've hopped on the call with saying, hey, you don't need me, you need so-and-so. So let us help direct you. If we can serve you, yes, we want to. But if we can't meet and exceed your expectations, that's the goal, then we're going to point you in a direction of somebody else that can. So with that, hello@Design for the Creative Mind. Hallie, am I back next week? I get back from High Point on Tuesday. Speaking of which, if any of you guys are going to be in High Point, I'm going to be on 2 separate panels, one of which is talking about pricing with 3 of my old school bakers. And we're going to be at Fazy's showroom Sunday at 4 p.m. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be on a panel with, and we're talking about processes. It's going to be Rick Campos, who's a fabulous business coach off the West Coast. And then we have Katie Decker Erickson, who is commercial. She runs a multi-million-dollar business in commercial interior design. myself, and it's going to be moderated by Luann Nigara. So y'all, if I'm sure you know who Luann is, like this woman is making history in our interior design industry as a leader, a thought leader. So thank you, Hallie, for dropping that in. Okay, so yes, prepping now for the holiday slowdown. Oh, that's perfect. So y'all come and see us here again this on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about prepping for the holiday slowdown. And then if you're in High Point, come up and say hello, please. Let me give you a hug. Now, if you're not a huggy person, I promise I won't, but I'm kind of a huggy person. So thanks for being here. Boy, we went a little bit over. I usually like to talk for 15 to 20 minutes, but as you can tell, I just love talking about all of this stuff. And I hope that you leave a little bit more empowered. Oh, look, we have some current bakers here. We've got Brandy. You see Brandy. And did I see another one? Yeah. So anyway, if you guys have questions about the validity of our programs, please don't hesitate. I'm going to throw that out there. If you have any questions, ask Ruth, ask Brandy. We do try to over deliver what we promise. And Ruth and Brandy and anybody else here, if I didn't, please just DM me before you tell anybody. Thank you. All right, guys, love you bunches. I'm so glad you're here. I really appreciate your support and you're just showing up. If there's anything that you need, please let us know. Talk to you soon.